Srimad Bhagwatam, Bhagavad Puran, Skanda3, Volume 3, Canto 3, Chapter-17. Topic for 17 is birth of Hiranyakashyap and Hiranyaksh and the victory of Hiranyaksh over the three worlds. So Maitreya ji has said here, Hey Vidurji, after hearing the reason for the looming darkness from the mouth of Lord Brahmaji, the stress of all the gods were reduced and they all returned to heaven. So, as for Diti, she was stressed that her sons were going to trouble all the gods and people of the universe, as was predicted by her husband Kashyapji. However, she gave birth to twins after carrying them in her womb for 100 years. At the time of delivery, at the time of the delivering of the babies, there were huge turbulence in all the three worlds, and everyone was afraid. There were earthquakes, lightnings, and thunders on the earth, whereas there were comets and asteroids and falling stars visible all over the space. So during the birth also many things has happened. Like this is we called as natural calamities. No? So Tejas, will you explain?
Mom, like now we kind of realize how strong the babies actually are. Because, mom, before they were born, they literally blinded the sun. Like there was no sunlight. When they were born, mom, like there was like at the time of delivery, there were like earthquakes and there was lightning, thunderstorms, everything that, mom, everything that's basically bad for us and Earth. Mom, ma'am, like a tsunami, ma'am, you might say it's it's due to the earth, ma'am, but it's also kind of bad, ma'am, because like many things can get washed away or like it can get destroyed, and for us also, ma'am, like it can get destroyed a lot, ma'am, and like not only like buildings and all, even lives can be lost because, ma'am, it's all like somewhat a matter of time, ma'am. It's not like it's slowly coming that you can go. Mom, it'll be like very quick, suddenly it'll start flooding. So, mom, like that's bad for us. And there were like asteroids in space at just the time of delivery.
Very good. So, due to heavy winds, there was the hissing sound, and trees were being ripped apart. It seems like the wind was carrying its army in the form of a storm and sandstorms. The lightning and thunders were so much that it seemed that the sun god and moon had hidden themselves in their homes, and there was intense darkness. Tapasya, your turn.
Yes, mom. So, mom, it has been said that it was darkness everywhere, and it has been said that like at the time of delivery, there was a lot of earthquakes, a lot of natural calamities, and it's also been said that there's a lot of darkness. Uh, there's a lot of darkness everywhere, and then the moon god and the sun god like hid themselves in their homes because like there's only darkness in the whole world, so they are not able to differentiate between the like daytime, nighttime.
Okay. Now, Shloka 7. The oceans were afraid with the huge waves forming in them. All the aquatic animals were afraid for their lives. Even the smaller water bodies like the river and ponds were very much afraid, and the lotus flowers began to dry. So, lotus flower is the most auspicious flower, right? We say lotus flower feet of Shree Krishna ji. You know, we say so. Lotus is very auspicious. So even that began to dry. So all the symptoms were negative, not good symptoms. You know, everything bad was happening because all of this, many lives were going, many deaths were there of other species, not even human, other species like aquatic animals, other birds. Come on, Tejas.
So in this shloka, it's also said like the lotus dries up and there are like many deaths and ma'am, like even in like the far about them, you can realize that it's kind of negative. Ma'am, at the time when the sunlight stopped coming to earth itself, we kind of figured out it was negative and now it's like triple times that. Ma'am, like there are so many deaths, people like aquatic species, and ma'am, like that too, other organisms are dying, which are not even related that much to humans, ma'am. Like they've created such a big impact. There's so many things, ma'am. They just like getting destroyed. They're dying. Like there was even natural calamities. There was the meteors and all that, ma'am. It's like very unnatural, ma'am. Like sure, maybe if suddenly now, ma'am, it's like if sunlight goes, it's probably like a solar eclipse or something like that. That's probably what we take from that. Ma'am, that also doesn't happen. If you say like meteors and like natural things happen, we'll just say it's a coincidence. But ma'am, but now there are like so much death. We could say that is because of the natural calamities, ma'am. Like that, ma'am. There was all this like negative vibe going on, and even the lotus, ma'am, dried up. Like they usually say the lotus feet of Lord Sri Krishna, they also dried up. Ma'am, like, and lotus is also like a really beautiful flower. It's the national flower of India also. So, ma'am, so that's what, ma'am, they're saying like, they're just trying to give us an idea of how bad it was, how, like, bad it was and like, how negative all that was.
Good. In Sloka 8, there were frequent solar and lunar eclipses. There was thunder even without clouds, and inside the caves there were sounds that seemed like a battle was being fought inside. Tapasya.
Yes, ma'am. So, ma'am, in this shloka, it has been said that like there's thunderstorm with the clouds. It's like telling that there is what is it, ma'am? Hi, so it's like telling that um thunderstorms is there, but it's not going to rain. They're just going to tell that dark. This whole chapter is not going to like about Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, their birth and all. But then it has been said that there was hissing sound, there's kind of uprooting of like roots of trees, there's a lot of storm and thunder.
Okay. Please listen in the class. Shloka 9. The foxes and the owls were continuously crying, and the jackals were emitting howls with fire. All this seemed very inauspicious. So now we come across like what are the things which are inauspicious. Too much of solar and lunar eclipse, then crying of foxes, owls, and jackals, then all those earthquakes. So all these are the indication of inauspiciousness. Now, obviously, if earthquake is there, there are too many deaths. If tsunami type comes, it is also too many deaths. Then lunar eclipse, solar eclipse also not auspicious. So this is also there. The dogs were barking continuously with their heads pointing upwards. It was difficult to understand whether they were crying or laughing. Tejas, your turn.
Okay, ma'am, this shloka what said is that, ma'am, so now we get to know like what all is inauspicious, like too many solar, lunar eclipses, and like dogs, ma'am, like they're keeping their heads up and they're like barking, and it's hard to make out if they're laughing or crying, ma'am, and owls and other birds are like crying a lot, like because ma'am, it's bad, like. Ma'am, like even a simple thing as even one thing, earthquake, it has lots of destructions, ma'am. Like Ma'am, it doesn't mean we'll strike in only that one city or in that one place. Usually it's like very big. Even things like, ma'am, like even trees will fall that will kill even humans and also the other species. Ma'am, like that. And then jackals also seem to be emitting fire. So, ma'am, we get to know how all these small, small things, like together, they seem like an inauspicious thing. Ma'am, like usually, if we see a dog keeping its head up and just howling, we'll be like something's wrong with it or something like that. Ma'am, and if we see an owl like crying, we'll be like something is also wrong with that. It's okay, nobody cares, ma'am. And then like, ma'am, now we get to know like what it is, ma'am. Like there are like continuous earthquakes, tsunamis, almost everything at once. Like all the bad things that could happen at once, like too many solar, lunar eclipses, and yeah, ma'am. That's what they're saying. Like how inauspicious it is.
Very good. So next, hey Vidurji, the entire group of donkeys had gone wild. They were continuously neighing and digging the earth with their sharp claws. Seeing all this, the birds were frightened and started going inside their nest, whereas the cows and bulls, which were already tied and hence couldn't run, were crying in fear. The fear was so intense that the cows started giving blood instead of milk. The clouds were raining push, and the trees started falling even after the storm has stopped. Tapasya?
Can I tell how much I know, ma'am? Because immediately your voice is breaking. Can I tell how much I know?
Okay. Tejas, can you do?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, so this Sloka said is that, ma'am, so groups of donkeys were just running around like crazy, and they were digging the sharp claws into the ground. Ma'am, and the birds got scared of this and they went into their nests. Ma'am, and the bulls and cows saw that and they got scared. Ma'am, like because they were tied, like we don't leave like bulls or ma'am, like now we leave it, but in those times, bulls like cows and all, they're used for something. Like we usually use cows for milk. So because they were tired, they couldn't run and they were like crying. And all that tension, ma'am, like the cows were giving blood instead of milk. Ma'am, and ma'am, all this was like so bad. Like, ma'am, like we can't even imagine these kind of things actually happening. Ma'am, but it happened at that time.
Correct. Now, Shloka 14. The
Ma'am,
Shani. Huh?
ma'am, and also trees were falling even after the rain stopped. I forgot that.
Correct. Good. Thank you for listening. Now, Shloka 14. The Shani, the Saturn, Rahu, and Ketu were becoming stronger while the saintly bodies such as Guru, Jupiter were getting subdued. The Shani, Rahu, and Ketu started fighting among themselves. Shloka 15. Seeing
Ma'am,
all
why
this
Shani and
in
Rahu?
seeing all these inauspicious things, the Sanka rishis and the other mankind, which was unaware for the reason of these inauspicious happenings, thought that the time of dissolution has come. The Sanka rishis were not aware of the reason and they thought, okay, now dissolution has come. Tapasya, your turn.
Ma'am, before that out, ma'am, what is ma'am, it was few names.
That is Sani, Rahu, and Ketu.
Yes, ma'am, what is it?
These are all dasha we say, na? Sani dasha, Rahu dasha, Ketu dasha. So
Oh,
this is basically according to the Indian mythology or astrology.
okay,
It
ma'am.
is a period like no the stars. You know we have stars. So the placement of the stars. So these three are basically said to be harmful for humans. They are good also, but sometimes they are harmful also. So these three stars started fighting among themselves. They are very strong and powerful. Shani god is also there. Shani Dev. So these three are very powerful and harmful and good as well. So these three started fighting among themselves.
So, mom, the three stars start like fighting over themselves. Like they are like all of them are strong, so they started fighting. And then Sankar rishis didn't know that they didn't know what's happening. So then they thought that it is the time of dissolution.
Very good. Thank you. So we did till Shloka 15.